Pharisees went up and plotted how they might entrap Jesus in his speech. They sent their disciples to him with the Herodians, saying, "Teacher, we know that you are the truthful man, and that you teach the way of God in accordance with the truth, and you are not concerned with anyone's opinion, for you do not regard a person's status. Tell us, then, what is your opinion? Is it lawful to pay the census tax to Caesar or not?" Knowing their malice, Jesus said, "Why are you testing me, you hypocrites? Show me the coin that pays the census tax." Then they handed him the Roman coin. He said to them, "Whose image is this and whose inscription?" They replied, "Caesar's." At that he said to them, "Then repay to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and to God what belongs to God." The Gospel of the Lord. Just God is God, and just He deserves our adoration. Just God deserves that we love Him with all our minds, with all our heart, with all our lives. Just God deserves the first place in our lives. And as a Catholic people, God always must be in the first place. God and His teachings, God and His truth over all human teachings. And for that reason, Jesus said today, in today's Gospel, "Then repay to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and to God what belongs to God." Everything is coming from God. Everything belongs to God. Everything that we have, that we are, belongs to God. And God deserves our honor, our glory, as we sing in the responsorial psalm today. Just God deserves our adoration. When some legislations, human legislations, are in the opposite way to God's law, to God's will, as a Catholic people, we must obey God before other legislations. We must obey the commandments of God before human legislations. Yesterday, as a parish community, we prayed together for the end of the abortion. Many of you pray in front of the clinic of abortion in Westchester. Thank you for that. This is a clear example. Many human legislations in all the world said that abortion is a right, human right. That is the contrary of the 5 commandments of the God's law. You don't kill anyone. You don't have right to kill any innocent one. But today in our society, many human legislation said that is right. As a Catholic people, we need to obey God first. We need to obey God first. Even if many countries said that this is legal. Many things are legal but are not good for human being, for the human dignity. Other example is the euthanasia. In many countries, they approve this legislation, this law, to kill older people because they don't produce money. They are an obstacle for the economy of many countries. We need reduced cost. Before this legislation, as a Catholic people, we must obey God first. God, as Jesus said, to God what belongs to God. We need to defend life. We need to defend the innocent ones. When many countries, many legislation try to reduce the right of the parents to educate their children. As a Catholic people, we need to obey God first. As a parents, you have the right to educate your children according to your lives, according to your faith. It's not the governor in any country that introduce to your family what do you need to teach to your children. God, to God, that belongs to God. It's hard, but it's much better to live in the truth and to live in the fantasy of the human's legislation. Just when you live in the truth, you are free. You have the authentic freedom. When you don't have the truth in your life, you are in the wrong way. Jesus said, He is the truth. And before the truth, we have just two options: or accept it or reject it. Before Jesus Christ, we have just two options: or follow Him, obey Him, adore Him as our God and Lord, or go in the other direction without His teachings, without His presence, without His grace in our lives. We have many examples in our history as a Catholic Church that we need to remain faithful to Jesus, to God, before human legislation. Remember, in the first centuries, during the persecutions of the Roman Empire, they tried to impose like obligation for the Catholic people, the Christian people, to present honor and adoration before the emperor, the statue of the emperor, to put incense and adore that status as God. Many of them offered their lives before denied God. Adoration just to God. All the honor, glory, and adoration just to God. That belongs to God. He's so hard in many situations, but we are not alone. Today we celebrate also the feast of St. John Paul II, the great St. John Paul II. And he said to us, in the first words that he said from St. Peter's Square, do not be afraid. Open the doors to Jesus Christ. Do not be afraid to live in the truth. Do not be afraid to remain faithful to God, even if the consequence appears from this world, is to say, persecutions. It's much better to live in the truth and to die for the truth and to live in the fantasy of this human legislation that we have right now in our world. Let us ask to the Lord, Lord, help me, help us to remain faithful to you, to belong to you everything that you deserve, and to give to you the first place in my life. Let us pray in silence.